Because I used to come along years ago when I was very young with my dad, and I had no idea that you were still here, so it's great to see you again.
People come along year after year and they say much the same as you.
Yeah.
I was brought down here by my dad and the kids, my grandfather, and they still come, oh look, he's still here. Yeah. Oh good. And if I don't turn up, oh, where's the sandman? Why isn't the sandman down there?
Oh,
and they go to the council people and say,
nice.
what's happened to the sandman?
Yeah.
I like pleasing people.
Yeah.
And if I can entertain them, that's fine.
And I know it's a difficult question to answer, but on average, how long does it take, Mark, to make one of these sculptures?
A back piece can take up to 2 weeks. The side pieces here, they take between 2 and 5 days. And the fruit Fred can knock up in 5 minutes.
Oh, I think you're very clever, Fred.
Yeah,
it's great to see you.
That's two of us.
Oh, thanks.
I used to be taller than it.
Hello, boys and girls.
I like Weymouth because it's not all arcades and virtual reality. It's kept its traditional entertainment, like Punch and Judy. Mind you, Punch and Judy has its blood-curdling moments. Look what happens to the poor baby.
Oh dear, what's the rush up those stairs? What's he done with the baby, boys and girls? He let a crocodile have it.
What did you think of the Punch and Judy then? Did anybody like it?
Yeah. I liked it when the crocodile, I liked it when the ghost tried to get Judy.
Yeah, what did you think of the crocodile eating the baby?
It wasn't funny.
No.
Who can call Judy the loudest? 1, 2, 3.
Judy!
What's he gonna hit me?
Yeah. Oh, yes, you were. Hello, Guy. Hello.
You were right. Nice to see you, dear.
Yes, thank you. Tell me, how long have you been a Punch and Judy man?
Next year it'll be 50 years.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did. And how long does it take to learn the art of being a Punch and Judy man?
You can never really learn
No,
it. You either can do it or you can't.
Bye-bye, bye-bye. It's a wet, bye-bye.
Here we are.
Ah,
Mr. Punch.
Mr. Punch
The
himself.
irascible.
Can I have a go, do you think? And you say you made him?
Yes, oh yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So what?
Yes.
Let me have a go. If I was going to be a puppeteer,
Yes.
I know I couldn't ever aspire to be a Punch and Judy lady, but how would I go about it? Give me a few tips.
Well, having got a puppet,
Yeah.
the index finger goes up in the head,
Right.
one arm, the other arm.
Oh,
you
right.
see. So
Okay.
that's the thing, really.
Looks a bit
Okay.
rude, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. The three-fingered sign. Oh, so it's the index finger up the neck.
Yes, yes.
Right.
You're going to move it. So if you want his head to turn one way, strictly speaking, by twisting the fingers and using the arms, you should be able to get his head to turn.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
And then there's the nod up and down. That's more important.
Yeah, I
and then
can
the
do
tapping
that.
of the hands. That's it.
Terrific.
And then
More.
jump up and down, and that's the way to do it. And,
That's the way to do it.
You're in the business, nearly. Not quite, but
I
nearly.
don't think the voice is quite right. That's the way to do it. You do it for me. Go on. How should it be done?
Plenty of animation, that's right. Okay.
That's the way to do it. What do you think? There's a nice traditional seaside scene. Look, 2 contented donkeys. I wouldn't half like a change. Would you really? What a nice life it must be for them. I'm absolutely fed up plodding up and down this beach all day. It's so boring. Oh, I quite like it myself, but I've never been a deep thinker like you, Aristotle. Quick smile, there might be a carrot in it for us. Of course, as a child, I spent a lot of time on the beach, but now I feel an awful duffer about the history of the town. Maureen's a local historian, and she's going to fill in the gaps. Is Weymouth an old town, Maureen?
It's absolutely amazing to think that all this we're passing now, all these buildings along the esplanade, they've only been here really since the end of the 18th century. These beautiful sands behind us and the lovely calm waters of Weymouth Bay were nothing to the early residents. They chucked their rubbish on the beach and just pulled up a few fishing boats. And it wasn't really until the middle of the 18th century when all these wonderful doctors of the day, who were always trying to please their wealthy clients, decided that sea bathing was a good alternative to taking the inland waters at the spas. Eventually they decided that perhaps it would be a good idea if King George III tried this new fad of sea bathing. So Downie came to Weymouth and was the first monarch to bathe in the sea.
We're coming up now to the clock, and this clock was very important to us when we were kids because we used to come down on the bus and Mum would set us up on the beach and she would sit by the clock and she would always say to us, now don't move away from the clock and then you won't get lost, because it was the most terrifying thought, you know, that you might get separated from your mum. And so the clock represented security and mum for us. So I feel very, very fond of it. My dad was billeted round here in the war. He was in the Grenadier Guards. And he was in a little house which my brother assures me is now painted blue. So it's one of these blue ones.
On the other side of the harbour?
There's one blue one over there.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Dad said when he was down here with the Americans, a German fighter plane came over strafing the beach. He said, I had to bloody duck. I went to see Dawn Gould and John and Poppy Butcher, who have very vivid memories of the time. What were the soldiers like? Were they sort of very chivalrous, or were they fast?
Oh, they were fast.
Were they?
Yes.
Oh, tell us, how fast?
Well, the thing amongst us girls was they had more hands than an octopus.
Oh.
You had to,
And how did you cope with that?
well, we used to go around in pairs, or 3 or 4 of us
For
girls.
safety?
Yes, oh yes, and my friend lived in the same street as I lived in, so if we went to the dances, we always came home together, and anyway, I wasn't allowed to go out with Americans really, so if one brought me home, they had to leave me at the end of the street.
Did you feel swamped as a young man, you know, that all these Americans were taking the eye of the girls?
But they didn't.
Didn't they?
No.
Because there was an expression, wasn't there? They were overpaid, oversexed, and over-ear, weren't they? I mean, what was your impressions of them? What were
Well,
your...
of course, the accents were the most marvellous thing, because you'd seen so many films, and when you heard a real Brooklyner or a real cowboy, it was amazing to think that he was here in your town.
Yeah. You used to sing in a band during the war, Poppy?
Yes, I did, yes. Towards the end of the war, I joined a local dance band.
I always think of the music of that time as being Glenn Miller and String of Pearls and those sort of tunes. What else was popular?
Well, there was lots of popular tunes. There was I'll Walk Alone, which was very popular.
Well, I've never heard of that song. Would you mind giving me a quick burst?
No.
Come on.
I'll walk alone, because to tell you the truth, I'll be lonely. I don't mind being lonely when my heart tells me you are lonely too. They ask me why, and I tell them I'd rather. There are dreams I must gather, dreams we fashion the night. You held me tight, I'll always be near you, wherever you are each night.
I am Clamp, the mighty limpet. I am solid, I am stuck. I am welded to the rock face with my superhuman suck. I live along the waterline and in the dreary caves. I am Clamp, the mighty limpet. I am ruler of the waves. What care I for the shingle, for the dragging of the tide, with my unrelenting succour and my granite underside? There's only one reward for those who come to pick at me, and that's to watch their fingernails as they go floating out to sea. Don't upset me, I'm a limpet, though it's plankton I devour. Be very, very careful, I can move an inch an hour. Don't you poke or prod me, for I warn you, If you do, you stand there for a fortnight and I'll come and stick on you. I used to collect lots of limpet shells here, but now there's a new resident, the oyster. I'm going to the oyster farm to see what information I can prize out. Hello, Matthew.
Hi there. Welcome
Hi.
to Abbotsbury Oysters.
Thank you very much. This is Matthew Rodwell, and Matthew's going to show me how you pick oysters.
And for that, we need to get you kitted out.
Oh, I'll get some gear like yours, do I?
That's right.
Oh, good, right. Oh, this is the wardrobe department.
That's right. And depending on the state of the tide, you're going to need one of two things. Either chest waders or bib and brace. We'll get you into these to start with.
Right, okay.
Shoulder straps.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh. There.
Okay.
All the fetishists at home will have to look the other way, I'm afraid. Right, I'm ready.
Okay, let's head on out to the barge then.
Okay.
This is Darren, he does most of the hard work on
Hello,
the river.
Darren.
Hello, Pam. It looks like rain, so...
Oh, one of these.
There's
Thank
cook.
you.
Thanks.
Oh, a bit more rubber to struggle into.
Okay, it's arms in first.
Right.
Then just dive in.
Dive in. Right. Oh, made it.
Okay, let's go.
I feel like Buster Crab. What is this sophisticated craft here, Matthew?
Well, this is the oyster barge.
The oyster barge.
Okay, and as soon as you get on here, it's safety first.
Yeah.
Just stick it over your
Right.
head. Okay.
Thank you.
This will.
This is a network of straps.
Yeah, better keep the hood up because it may well rain.
Right. Okay, well I feel...
Right. And this is automatic, so if you bump your head on the way down, it'll blow up anyway.
Oh, thank you, that's very reassuring. I don't do much sailing, so this is a rare sight, me at sea. Here I am standing firm. You had to, there was no handrail. Oh look, a cormorant.
Go around a long way. That's a small oyster, what we would call an oyster seed. Okay.
Oh, it is small, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
And
So if they're Pacific oysters, can they cope with the conditions here?
yeah, well that's the advantage of them. Because they're Pacific oysters, they don't spawn,
No.
so they stay in condition all year round.
And do you have to feed these oysters, Matthew?
You don't feed them, they feed on the natural algae blooms and plankton that's in the water, so they're entirely natural product, very good for you. A lot of them are eaten raw, so that means none of the goodness is cooked out of them.
Yeah.
They're one of the highest natural concentrations of zinc, so that's what does the libido bit for you.
Oh really? Oh, well I'll tell my husband.
Okay, destination, oyster beds. Okay, I'll just get you some gloves and then we'll pass you some oysters and you could stack the bags for us if that's okay.
All right.
Bit soggy.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. They're all warm and wet.
This is the jonk, or jonk if you're French.
Oh, what is it? What does that mean? I've got no...
That you weave it through the bag to close the top of the bag.
Oh, I see.
Oysters live in bags, like so.
Yeah.
And, what I want you to do is just be gentle with them, but jonks facing inwards, stack the bags like that.
These sacks have to be regularly turned because otherwise little sea creatures come and attach themselves to the underside. Now, what noise annoys an oyster? Any noise annoys an oyster, but a noisy noise annoys an oyster most. What do you think? Is that too many on there?
That'll be okay. We don't get any runoff from towns or cities, so we're in the cleanest water you can get by European standards. We're in A classification waters, which in theory means we don't have to purify the oysters.
Oh, really?
But we do anyway, and that's what I'm going to go and show you now.
Matthew assures me that it's possible to stick the jonk in an oyster and catch one, so without much confidence I'm going to have a go. I think I've done it. Look, that is impressive, is it not? Look, first go. Hello, Sil.
Hello, Pam.
Hi, you're cooking oysters. Now, I thought people always ate their oysters raw.
No, not necessarily. We've been doing them with garlic cheese, and we've done them with lemon butter, which is very nice.
Yeah.
All sorts of ways you can do
They
them.
look gorgeous, don't they? Can
do.
anybody come and try your oysters?
Oh, they certainly can.
Right now. Oh, it looks gorgeous. It took me ages before I could sort of fancy oysters, but I think it was going to Australia for me that made me get used to the idea, and now I love them. This looks ever so hot, so I'm just going to have a nibble. I suppose that's quite an appropriate thing to say, really, when you're eating oysters. Well. Oh, they're lovely. Quick, order me a dozen. And his drill, it do whine in these molars of mine. To amalgam, he'll say, for in there. And how I laughed at my mother's false teeth as they foamed in the waters beneath. But now comes the reckoning. It's me they are beckoning. Oh, I wish I'd looked after me teeth. Right then, thank you very much for listening. Now, I've been asked, as I said, to do something which I find very difficult, and that is to write a poem about Weymouth. I mean, I love Weymouth. It's a great place, and in my opinion, it's very underestimated. So I picked up my pen, and this is what I did. Farewell to Bob the boatman, who took me on the ferry. Farewell to Chesil Beach, whereon my father shot the jerry. Farewell to Punch and Judy. I enjoyed it, but maybe I didn't like the crocodile that went and ate the baby. So. Farewell to Weymouth town with your donkeys on the sand, where myriads of kids like me first learned to understand the wonder of the seaside and its power to enthrall. You can be my one and only nicest seaside town of all.
Next this evening, Judith Chalmers takes a motoring break in Kent, and John Carter visits the outback of Queensland, Australia, in Wish You Were Here.